What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the next episode of the HMA Fantasy Wrestling Podcast. This is episode number 29, coming at you with the first quarterfinals show. And we're really excited to jump into this one. Got a bunch of guys on here with me to talk about all these fun matchups. And we'll go through the list and see who all is with me. Mr. Earl Smith from the Open Mat. How you doing, Earl?
Doing great. Wish a happy Father's Day to everybody who's watching us live.
For sure. Seth, how are you doing? Coach Gross.
Yeah, doing great. And same here. Happy Father's Day to everybody watching and everybody out there.
All right. And then special guest today joining us, two-time NCAA champ, associate head coach at Princeton, Joe Dubuque. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. This should be fun. I listened before, so to be on, it's pretty cool. So looking forward to it.
Awesome, man. Well, we're excited to have you on. Like I was saying before the call, it's always cool to have people on that actually did the thing during the time we're talking about. Obviously we got Seth and Jack, so we got a lot of that with the more recent years, but it's really cool to get people throughout these years that come on that have experience. We had Sam Hazewinkle on, and it was really cool because he, knew a lot of those guys in those duels. So it's fun to have people on that have more experience than we do. But we'll go ahead and look at the bracket. So, like we said, this is the first quarterfinal duel of this particular project that we're running. It's the NCAA Champion Duels. If you're just now joining us for the first time, what we did was over the last 16 years, obviously I picked 16 just because it made it even 16-man bracket. Went back and took the NCAA champions of each year, threw them in a dual lineup, and seeded the tournament. And we've gotten through to this point. We're at the quarterfinals, the number 1 seed 2005 versus the number 8 seed 2015. So we're gonna be hitting that duel. But some other matchups that we had in the first round, 2018 versus 2016 is gonna be our next quarterfinal. And then on the other side of the bracket was where we kind of started having stuff go crazy, having some upsets. The 2 seed 2013 actually did move on, but the last 3 teams that moved on were upsets. So 2007 upset 2012, 2004 upset 2014, and then 2019 upset 2017. So those quarterfinal matchups are looking pretty spicy, man. I'm excited to get into those too. But we can just go ahead and jump into this duel if you guys are ready.
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
Cool. Do it.
Awesome. So pulling it up, and if you are watching us live, then thank you. We really appreciate it. If you're not, then you can always obviously find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. But we also do have a YouTube page where you can go on and see the actual video and what we're looking at and all that kind of stuff. And so HMA or Home Out Advantage Wrestling on YouTube, you can go and find us there. But to start this duel off, we have 2005 versus 2015, and we'll just go ahead and run through the lineups real quick. For 2015, did one of us have 2015, or was it Jude or Sam, I think? Well, I'll just go run through it. So 2015, we're going to start off at the top of the lineup. Nathan Tomasello of Ohio State. NATO, 1-time champ, 4-time All-American. Cody Brewer, Oklahoma, 1-time champ. Logan Stieber, 4-time champ. Drake Howdeshell, 1-time. Isaiah Martinez, 2-time. Alex Daringer, 3-time. Matt Brown, a 1-timer. Gabe Dean, a 2-timer. Kyvan Gadson, a 1-timer. And Nick Gwistowski is a 2-time champ. So just a little, off the top, how many championships they won. But on the other side, 2005, Joe, do you mind just rolling through these guys real quick? Say whatever you want about them.
Yeah, well, I guess Joe Dubuque, 2-time champ. Travis Lee, 2-time champ, 4-time All-American. He was a bad dude. We were both in our senior nationals bracket, which was kind of crazy. Tion Ware, 2-time champ, I think 4-time All-American. Zack Esposito, one-time champ, three-time All-American. Ryan Bertine, two-time champ, four-time All-American, had that same slip-up as me, couldn't get that Big Ten title, but wound up getting 2 NCAA titles. So he was actually a really sneaky good guy. He kind of gets lost in the talk a little bit. Johnny Hendrix, two-time champ, four-time All-American. Chris Pendleton, two-time champ. I think he was a three-time All-American. I'm not sure if he had 4. Greg Jones, three-time champ. Jake Rochelle, three-time champ, and Steve Mako, two-time champ, four-time All-American, four-time finalist. So that's the 2005 champs right there.
Awesome. I thought it was really cool yesterday. You know, obviously we got you on here because you saw it and kind of commented on it, and we had some fun exchanges. But we had a lot of people commenting on this, and I think it was kind of fun because usually I put these votes out and I just kind of put them out on Twitter. But yesterday I decided in the actual votes to actually just tag everybody, see what would happen. You know, maybe piss people off. Who knows? Whatever. They'll get over it. And so I just tagged everybody, and then, it's kind of crazy when I'm downstairs, I'm working on some furniture. I look down and Daniel Cormier and Kyvan Gadson, all kinds of dudes, and Joe Dubuque are commenting on our stuff. So it was really cool. But you, one of the guys you went through, Jake Rochelle, or is it Rochelle? Kyvan Gadson retweeted it and put it's a shame I'd have to do to you what I did to your baby brother or something like that. It's like, wow, okay. Just started that off hot. But really cool though to see everybody so into it. What matches stand out to you guys as some of the really big matchups in this duel?
57, 65, heavyweight. There's a lot of good ones in this.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out where do we want to start at? I don't know. Man,
you might want to end off with Mako and Gwiz. I think those two guys, both of them two-timers, might be a good ending spot.
Yeah, I'm down with
That's
that.
just my take.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Let's do it. So we're going to start off. That means we'll start off with you, Joe. We're going to start with 125, Mr. Joe Dubuque versus Nathan Tomasello. I know this one, not even Joe, but it got a lot of people heated. A lot of people, when the voting first started, it was very, there's a lot of recency bias and everybody voting Tomasello because they know his name. A lot of our following is, younger wrestlers. And so they're all voting that way. And I had a lot of people, commenting or retweeting it and saying please go do your research. This is not the way it should be. And I think Mason Beckman that's on HMA with us, he put it out there, was everybody needs to go do their research. This is ridiculous. But now it's time for us to talk about it. So what do we see going down in this duel? I'm going to kick it to Earl. So Earl, what do you see with Joe and Nato?
Yeah, so I know in the first round we had 2015 matched up with 2006, and I picked Joe as, I don't want to say decisive win, but I thought senior Joe would have handled him pretty well. Nato's not going to bully him around. He's going to hold his own, impose his will. 2005 is a little bit different because I don't think you were quite at the same level as 2006. 2006 was pretty dominant, though. I'll still go with Joe getting the win here. Close win, but win nonetheless.
Yeah. What do you think, Seth?
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I think Tomasello was a beast. He had a great run that freshman year to win the title, beat some good dudes. But I think Joe would have beat him. Just a little bit older, a little bit just more experience than Tomasello had his freshman year, and I think that he'd beat him by a few points. I'd say a 3-4 point match would be my guess.
Did you just call Joe old?
What's that?
So you just called Joe old?
Hey, that's an appropriate statement.
Older. There you go.
All right. Well, Joe, what do you think? Like, obviously this is you, so, you can pick yourself or not. It doesn't matter. But, like, if 2005 Joe Dubuque wrestled NATO, what do you think it would look like? And, like, how do you think it would go?
So I've actually had the pleasure of recruiting NATO and coaching against him. He was absolutely a hammer. The one thing that I would say I would lean towards NATO with is he had a really, really good lefty high crotch, and that was sort of like my kryptonite in college. And I had a lefty high crotch. I had a lot of trouble with. But I would say if it's in the national tournament and my junior year and his freshman year, I think it would have been pretty even on our feet. We both like the ham fight. And I think I would have had the advantage on the mat. In that national tournament, I won it, on the mat. There was no takedowns. I rode Kyle out and got out from bottom. So I think that would have really kind of been similar. I think Nate, as a freshman, probably didn't really know the transitions, on top and bottom. So I think that's probably where I would have exploited him to a close one. Again, I could see it 2-1, maybe 3-1. I would say I'd give it to myself in that match.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm on board with it. There's not much to say that you guys haven't covered. So Joe is going to get the win over NATO in the first match. And everybody's saying it's kind of a close match. We're not getting any kind of bonus points or anything here.
No.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So Joe takes the win over NATO. That's going to put 2005 up 3-0 to start it off. And we'll head down to 133 pounds. Travis Lee versus Cody Brewer. And we just had JO comments, Jordan Oliver comments over here a minute ago that said people needed to put some respect on Travis Lee's name because he's losing the Twitter poll. Which, by the way, Joe, you did win the Twitter poll 60% to 40% over NATO. So,
oh, nice.
Another vote, man. We got the votes in. But anyways, Travis Lee, Cody Brewer. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Travis Lee, Joe?
Yeah, Travis was a bad dude, man. He was like super athletic. I think the one thing about him was that like he was so versatile. Like he could go upper body, he can do low, ankle picks, and again, he was so good. I think this is his senior year, right? I think 2005 is his senior year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I don't think he redshirted. I think he went 4 straight. He was just so good on his feet. I just didn't see, and he beat so many good guys. I mean, in that tournament, I think he beat Bunch. I think he beat Flieger as a freshman. Down the line, I mean, he's just beaten a lot of really good guys. I think he beat Oklahoma State guy who was a 2-time Johnny Thompson. Oh, am I right on that?
Yeah, he. Jeez.
Or was that the year before that?
I knew Thompson lost in 2004, but I don't know if they met at the national tournament. He might have beaten him, somewhere along the way, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Again, like it's really hard for me. And Cody Brewer is really, really tough. Man, that guy was on fire when he won it. The matches he wrestled. I mean, he was bonusing guys all over the place. I know Cody's got a really big motor, but so did Travis. And I just think Travis was a little bit too athletic for him and just kind of a little bit too versatile. I mean, you've seen Cody Brewer. He's kind of gotten pinned a couple of times. And I think, him going up top, I think who's the Oklahoma State kid who pinned him when he was a true freshman? Who was that? Cade Brock. So, like, I can kind of see something like that where Cody Brewer has zero fear. But if you go up top with Travis Lee, man, I think you're going for a ride. So, for me, my pick is going to be Travis Lee.
Awesome. We're also picking, like, if we're doing major or anything like that, make sure you say that. I don't know if you're leaning that way or not, but
I wouldn't say major, but I could see it either being a decision or him pinning Brewer. I mean, again, I like Cody a lot, and I think sometimes his fearlessness maybe gets him in a little bit of trouble. But if he stayed off of his back, man, this would be like a really, really good match.
Yeah. I think it's funny when we're talking about college matches, a lot of the time it's literally either decision or pin. Like a lot of times we don't even get into too many majors and techs and all that kind of stuff. I don't even think we picked a tech in this tournament. I think for obvious reasons. But on the other side, Cody Brewer. Earl, can you tell us a little bit about Cody?
Yeah, Cody was a 4-time All-American. This was his junior season. He had an abbreviated year, so he only had one loss on the year and didn't hit a lot of the big guys that year. So I think he ended up with the 13th seed. It would be tough for me to pick against him this year. This was one of the matches I thought about the most, just because the run he was on was just remarkable. Majored over the studs he majored. I know Dardane, George P. Camillo. But on the other side, Travis Lee, he's gotten overlooked over the years, kind of for the reasons Joe said. I could see Brewer, getting over aggressive and getting picked apart a little bit. So I'm going to have to go with Lee.
Awesome. Seth, what are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, I think Brewer had an unreal tournament. He was on fire. He was gonna be very hard to beat that tournament. But I think that I think Lee just was a little too much for him, and I think that his aggression, that Lee could have turned that into some sort of points. And I'm gonna go with Lee, but I do think that it'd be a very close match. And his run that year was incredible. I don't think that. Yeah, I mean, he wrestled some decent guys. It wasn't the craziest of competition that year, but he ran through it pretty easily, and I think it'd be close, but I got to give it to Lee.
Yeah. I mean, I only know about Travis Lee what I could find on the internet, on the YouTube and all that kind of stuff. So from what you guys are saying, that definitely sounds the right way to do it. I think with Cody Brewer, obviously one of the hottest NCAA tournaments we've seen in the last, decade, 2 decades or so. But outside of that tournament run, obviously he was good, but that was just a different dude for a couple of days in a row. So, I'll go Lee as well. And we'll get moving to 141 pounds, where we're going to see Tion Ware versus Logan Stieber. Man, this is one of the ones I was super excited to talk about. I don't know about you guys or not, but this is kind of a dream matchup, I think, for myself. But Logan Stieber, I think, we all know Logan Stieber, 4-time national champion. This is his 4th national title in 2015. Obviously helped the Buckeyes to the national championship in 2015. This year, did he beat, I think it was Port in the finals? Yeah. So he beat Mitchell Port in the finals, and just had an unreal campaign. Hodge Trophy winner. There's not a whole lot to say about Logan Stieber that people don't already know. So Joe, tell us a little about Tion Ware.
So Tion, dude, he was super athletic, but I think he was sort of like a chameleon too. Like he didn't always have to win matches on his feet. I think he was really good on top and bottom also. If he needed to ride out somebody or get a riding time point, he was definitely able to do so. And I honestly, in 4 years, I don't think he ever got ridden by anybody. He was so explosive, so really hard to ride. That's why I think this is a really, really good matchup. Even though like everybody thinks it's a landslide by Stieber, Tion was really good with reattacks. And as we know, like Logan shot 1 billion times. So I think that could have kind of kept the match close. And I honestly don't see Stieber turning Tion. Again, I mean, you gotta deal with his explosive stand-up off the whistle. So man, this is a really, for me, again, in a lot of people's minds, they're probably thinking, man, this is a landslide for Logan, but Tion was so good, dude. He was so athletic, so powerful. I'm going to probably go ahead and, give it to Logan, but it's close.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can't – there. Obviously, Logan Stieber's a 4-time champ, but, statistically, just looking at stuff, Tion was in the finals 3 times. He won 2 of them, and he got 6 the other year. So, right up there at the very top every year. He's a true freshman national champion. But
in his weight classes, not to step in real quick, but in his weight classes that he won, there was actually some guys who are really, really tough on top, like historically good on top. Corey Cooperman, Andy Simmons, Nate Gallick. A lot of those guys were really good on top, and he always seemed to not have any issues with those guys. I mean, he's had some issues with Nate Gallick. I think they went back and forth throughout their career. But, the other guys, I think he used to kind of have their number.
Yeah. What are you seeing on this one, Earl?
Yeah, Joe stole some of some of the things I was thinking. Just it's a great weird matchup because I don't necessarily know how Logan. He's great from his feet, but he wasn't like otherworldly like some of the guys on this list. And Ware was so quick with his reattacks, with his go behinds. It's really kind of almost a stalemate on the feet. And then from the mat, Logan, that's where he made his money. That's where, he turned people. So I don't necessarily know how he does that to Ware. I don't really have any specific analysis. I'll pick Stieber, but it's pretty even on both ends, kind of.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I see any kind of turns here. But do we think it's in the realm of possibilities of getting a riding time point? Because Stieber's just elite on top. And I mean, if we want to say that he's not going to get a turn, that's absolutely fine on a dude the level of Tion Ware. But for my money, I think that there's not a whole lot of people out there that Stieber can't hang on top for a minute plus. I don't know. Yeah,
That's what I was. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Probably like a 2-1. Stieber, gets the riding time point, and wins that way.
Yeah, I think it can definitely go both ways. I think that it would be a really cool matchup to watch because, like you're saying, the kind of volume of shots that Stieber produces versus the reattacks of Ware. I don't know. Like I kind of think that at some point somebody's going to get a takedown because of just that matchup right there on the feet. I think somebody's going to get one. I'm not going to say who's going to get it. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely lean Stieber here just because in the position, looking at the positions, I think that I favor Stieber on top, and then the other ones are kind of, pretty even. So I'm gonna favor Stieber in this one by decision. What about you, Seth?
Yeah, I'm on board with Stieber. I think that, like you said, matchup-wise, it's a good match, but Logan Stieber always found a way to win at the national tournament, and the reason why he's a 4-time champ, one of the greatest, college wrestlers, and he just always found a way to win, even those close matches, and even when you think that maybe he shouldn't have won, but he always found a way, and I got to go with Stieber on this one.
All right, well, you hinted at it. I got to get the Dubuque view on it. Was that a takedown or not with Stieber and Jo?
I mean, when that occurred, I mean, just going by the rules, no, that wasn't a takedown, because you're supposed to pop your head and stuff like that. I think the rule change I think was absolutely warranted, and I think that's definitely something we needed. But I mean, if you're just going by the rules of how every other takedown was called, I mean, it wasn't. I mean, that was a great match. Honestly, it was really fun to watch them two going scrapping.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think that's what most people say, and I kind of agree with it. Obviously, you got to go by the rules. It sucks that was the rule at the time because I think most everybody thinks that should have been a takedown with, you know, correct rules, but with the rules at the time, that's the way it should have went. But 6-3 now. 2005 still has a 3-point lead, and we'll go 149. Zack Esposito of Oklahoma State versus Drake Howdeshelt. Is it Howdeshelt or Hudeshelt?
I've always
right.
thought it was Howdeshelt, but
Okay, so
I've been known
all
to
right.
butcher a name or two.
It's always good. I ask a question, and everybody's just staring. I'm like, cool. All right. Doesn't matter. Well, it does, but Zack Esposito, do you want to tell us a little bit about him, Joe?
Yeah, so Zack was probably one of the best technicians of that time. He was really versatile too. Can do some really slick stuff, just Oklahoma State stuff, and then had a killer inside trip. But he was also really good on top too, and I think that's something that I think a lot of people overlook. You know, just in his run that junior year, he beat 3-time All-American John Massa 6-2. He beat Eric Tannenbaum 7-2. I think that's a really, really good win. And then he won over Philip Simpson in the finals 5-2. So you know, Zack. Again, I think Zack was one of those guys who was really technically sound, and he was really tough to beat this year.
Yeah, for sure. On the other end, Earl, can you tell us a little bit about Howdeshelt?
Yeah, he was a 3-time All-American for Missouri. He was unseeded as a sophomore and ended up 6th in the country, was top seed at nationals the next year, then was 6th again, and then put it all together and won it all as a senior. I'd say he's pretty solid in all positions. As far as this matchup goes, I think that Espo is more versatile, can do a little bit more on his feet, and I think that's where he would win it, is in the takedown game.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I think Espo, like Joe was saying, his technique was just unreal, and I think he would have kind of I don't think he would have dominated Howdeshelt, but I think it would be a sound win, like 6-2, 7-2, where he just picks and chooses and scores when he kind of finds his openings and takes it.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking Esposito major. I'm not thinking like, you know, 14-1, but like sneaking out like an 8-point win, maybe a 9-point win. Just the slickness on his feet. I think that he really does have, you know, a significant advantage on his feet and gets, you know, a couple takedown lead. But that's just me. I'm thinking major Esposito. What about you, Joe?
I can get on board with that, especially in this tournament. I mean, you know, the fact that he put up 7 points on Eric Tannenbaum is really good. That dude was really, really good. So I could definitely see him hitting an inside trip, you know, putting Drake to his back, and then just kind of piling it on from there. So I can definitely see Zack getting a major in this one.
All right. Is Earl, Seth, are either you guys on board with the major, or are you sticking with the decision?
I'll go with a major. Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Awesome. Seth, holding your ground, or you going major?
I guess might as well. I guess you guys got the major, so I'll jump on board with it.
Awesome. Peer pressure works. But all right, so 10-3, we now have a 7-point lead for the 2005 champs, and we're going to get into 157, where I thought so. We talked about, you know, we had a lot of interaction on social last night, and one of the things that I saw is, you know, obviously people are very, very biased towards Imar because he's recent and everybody knows him, and you know, some of the people that follow us might not have been alive, if we're being honest, back in 2005, because, you know, heck, 2 of our guys at HMA probably weren't. So one of the things that I found interesting was a Claunch over at
Blood round.
What?
Blood round.
Blood round. There we go. I'm losing my words. So Claunch commented, or he like retweeted it, and he put Bertine 10 out of 10 times versus Imar. It's like, All right. Well, shoot your shot then, man. Like, wow. Okay.
You got to remember, he's a Michigan guy. Clonk is a Michigan guy, so take that.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. Well, that's. I think I posted the that's a bold strategy, Cotton, from Dodgeball. But yeah. So let's talk about this one. Isaiah Martinez. Earl, do you want to start us off with Imar?
Yeah. So this is his freshman year. He's the first freshman since Kale to finish undefeated. He beats Brian Rebuto in the final. Kind of took college wrestling by storm right there. He had James Green in his weight class, Dylan Ness. So he had some tough guys that he beat along the way as well.
Yeah, and is he the last freshman to be undefeated and win a title?
Yeah, I would say
so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. On the other end, Ryan Bertine. Joe, tell us a little about him. Whatever you know about him.
So Ryan was super solid. Really good. I mean, he was just kind of standard, but really solid. Like really good high crotch, really good single leg, kept great position. Good on top enough, and I think he was pretty good at not getting ridden out. His nemesis was Alex Tirapelli. So, Ryan went the same route I did, 2 national titles, but 0 Big Ten titles. But I think he kind of gets lost. I mean, he was the 2nd seed here, and Tirapelli got upset, I want to say, in the quarterfinal round. So I think that made Ryan feel pretty good, going with his, to his senior year and trying to get his 2nd title. He beat Brian Stiff, who was a national finalist later on. He beat Trent Polson, who I believe was a national champ, I think in 2007. And then, or maybe the following year, 2006. And then he beat Joe Johnson in the final 8-5. So, again, Ryan was really, really good. This is going to be a really good matchup. They're kind of conflicting styles. So I'll leave it up to you guys, see where we go first.
What year was Bertine this year?
Senior.
5th year senior.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw Jacob, Martinez said something too on Twitter.
Oh, really? Not into that.
Yeah, he said, I had a W on a world medalist of that year. The competition was not the same when you really look at it.
All right. I think it's interesting when these guys comment on it because it's like it's either one or the other between like J.O., like I said, he commented that like put some respect on Travis Lee's name when it's Travis Lee and Cody Brewer. And Cody Brewer likes the tweet. So like he's obviously like, yeah, like put some respect on this dude's name. And you got some guys coming in like, oh, I beat this guy. I'm way better. So
yeah.
Kyvan Gadson talking trash. So it's cool to see their responses. But I don't know, man. When I think back about Imar, like I'm trying to think of, the guys that have beat Imar, and, there's not many, right? There's Jason Nolf pinned him, but we can do what we want with that match. I can't remember. I didn't watch it very recently, but I got to think it was probably an even or leaning Imar match when that scramble happened and he got caught. But, Vincenzo and Burroughs and Dake are pretty much the only dudes we've seen him lose to in the last, however many years. Man, I don't know. I'm going to have to think about this one more. So, Joe, what do you think? What do you see this matchup going like?
So like I said, Bertine was really solid, held a really good position. Just again, really good high crotch, really good single leg. And then you got Imar, who's so unpredictable and will do just about anything and everything. I'm going to go ahead and lean towards Imar. Again, just looking at his weight class, the guys that he beat and the guys that were in there, it was super impressive. And I just think if Imar got to his positions, I think it would be really hard for Bertine to stop. But I don't think it's as much of a landslide as people think. Again, Bertine was a 5th-year senior, and this is Isaiah's freshman year. So I think it was probably going to be a little bit closer, but I would have to lean towards Imar.
See, that's the interesting thing for me too, is that you're talking about freshman Imar, and I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on this, and I think I've kind of said it before, but I think freshman Imar might have been the best Imar we saw. I mean, he was just insane that year, beat up on everybody. Like, he was obviously a freshman, and we hadn't seen him do it before, but I remember that was the year where him and Ness were like the top two, and it was even known that Imar was going to beat Ness. Like, it wasn't a next topic situation, right? But it was very much a clear cut favorite because he was just smashing dudes. Horsepower is unreal. I love the Underhook series. Huge fan of what he does. Yeah, I'm going to go Imar as well, and a close win.
I'm gonna jump on board with Bertine here. I'll give Imar beats him at the Big Ten tournament, and then Bertine makes the adjustments, beats him at the NCAA tournament.
There we go.
That's my
Nice.
happen.
We just threw in two random virtual tournaments to decide that one for you. There we go. Earl, are we going to Twitter, or are you deciding it?
Let's take it to Twitter. I'll go with Bertine.
Oh man. All right. Well, if you're listening in and you voted on the Twitter poll, your vote does matter because it's about to decide this duel right now.
Yeah, right here it's 78% Martinez.
All right. I think might be a little biased, but it's
893 votes.
Yeah. What you said, 893?
Yep.
Man, that's a lot. It's a couple votes. But Isaiah Martinez is going to take the win in a close decision here. And that'll be 10-6 in favor still of 2005 as we move on to 165 pounds, where we're going to see Johnny Hendrix of Oklahoma State and Alex Derringer also of Oklahoma State. And we'll get started there. So, Earl, tell us, where is Derringer in 2015?
This is his junior season. It's his first year at 165 pounds. His run to the finals, he went over Jackson Morris, Illinois in the quarters. He beat Bo Jordan in the semis, and then Taylor Walsh, I think it was like a 7-point decision in the finals. It was a pretty good statistical year. I think, I think he was a runner-up to the Hodge to Logan, if my memory serves me correct, and he did receive a couple votes for the first place anyways.
Yeah. All right. On the other end of things, Johnny Hendrix. What can you tell us about Johnny, Joe?
So Johnny was the third seed going into this tournament. He wound up beating Ryan Chirella in the semis 6-2, and then he beat Mark Perry, who upset Troy Letters on the other side 5-2. And I want to say that's his junior year. I'm not 100% sure. It's either a sophomore or junior year. I think he was pretty good. He's pretty savvy. I think the best thing about Johnny was, man, that guy was hard to beat in the finals, even though, he did lose one, but he was, when the lights came on, he was on.
Yeah. I think this was his sophomore year because I think 2007 was the year that Perry beat him in the finals.
Yeah,
right?
That sounds right.
Yeah, and we talked about that match because we had that exact matchup one time, and in my opinion, Hendrix was controlling the match up until the last 20 seconds when he got the turn. But man, this one's interesting to look at and think about what would happen to Oklahoma State guys. Seth, what do you visualize happening in this match?
I'm gonna probably lean Derringer a little bit in this matchup, just the year older. Derringer was pretty unstoppable that year. I think Hendrix lost a couple? Did he lose a match that year or two?
Yeah, I think he lost a match or two.
So I think that, Derringer was a runner-up for Hodge. He was pretty dominant that year, and I know he had a pretty high bonus point rate. Probably not quite. He had decent competition. I don't know if it was quite what Hendrix had that year, but I'm gonna lean Derringer in a close one.
Yeah, I think Joe already hit on it, but there's some pretty big wins for both these guys. Looking back at this exact year, Hendrix beat, you said, Chirilla and Perry both in the national tournament. Man, I mean, he has some really, really good wins looking back. But it's got to be Deringer for me, man. Like you're saying, like, you know, he while Hendrix did have some big wins, he did take some losses here and there. And, you know, the last 3 years of Alex Deringer were virtually untouchable. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Deringer here. Joe, what do you think?
So just with the matchup, with this being Alex's junior year and this being Johnny's sophomore year, I'm probably gonna lean towards Alex. But I think if it was Johnny's junior year, I could definitely go Johnny Hendrix because it's hard to bet against that dude in the national tournament. I mean, he would usually have the whole crowd against him and still win in spite of people. So for this matchup, I'm going to probably go ahead and say Deringer. But if it was 2006 Hendrix, I would definitely go with him.
All right. So obviously you're back wrestling around then. What was the deal with that? Why was he like, it was almost like a villain persona. Like, why was that the view of him?
Well, I think, again, I mean, the dude loved the spotlight, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, everybody's got different personalities. And I don't know, just back then, like, wrestling fans back then, they just wanted you to kind of run off the mat and that was it. And you know, not really enjoy your victories. But that wasn't Johnny Hendrix. You know, he was gonna take the Oklahoma State flag and run around, you know, run around the bottom. I think he did that his junior year. He took and he got booed. But also you got to think of that time. Oklahoma State was on like a four-year title run, so everybody was hating on Oklahoma State anyway. So then you take the biggest personality on the most hated team, and that's how you just get people kind of hating on him. But I always enjoyed him, man. He was like, he didn't care, which is something I respected. He's like, hey, man, he's gonna be me. He's gonna be him, regardless of what the fans think of him.
Yeah, for sure. Earl, are you with us, or which way are you going?
Yeah, I'm with you with Deer. And I also add, as far as Hendrix, you know, he'd have some of these matches where he kind of, you know, if you're an opposing fan, you'd kind of say he squeaked out that win, or, you know, you're cheering against Oklahoma State and say he kind of squeaked it out, and you're looking at him like, oh, you know, Mark Perry's better than him anyways, or Troy Letter's better than him, Chirella, you know, whoever. And so, you know, and as far as Joe said, you know, him actually showing personality just, I guess, rubbed people the wrong way. And, you know, he's said how he knew if he had 12, 13,000 people booing him, you know, he was doing his job, and, you know, they don't boo bums.
Yeah. So, all right, a little off topic, but Johnny Hendrix, I don't know how much you guys keep up with, you know, the fight world and UFC and all that kind of stuff. But Johnny beat GSP, dude. I don't know if you guys remember that fight or if you have any thoughts on that one, but Johnny beat GSP.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, man. Earl, have you seen it at all?
Yeah, I haven't. I just watched it that one time, and I was pulling for him, so I kind of thought he did, but I would like to see it again just for more of a, you know, clearer lens, because it was a very close fight.
I was a huge George St. Pierre fan. Just absolutely loved the guy. I thought he was like, it was really cool to watch somebody of that caliber and that level also be that respectful and that like good of a person. I really liked watching him, but man, I remember watching that fight going, he's losing. He lost. Like, I can't believe he just lost his fight. And then the scorecard goes the other way for him. And then the interview after watching it, and Hendrix is sitting there just kind of looking like he had a tough workout, and GSP looked like he got hit in the face with a brick wall. And so, I don't know. But we'll move on. 174 pounds, Chris Pendleton of Oklahoma State versus Matt Brown of Penn State. Joe, do you want to kick us off and tell us a little bit about Chris Pendleton?
Yeah, Chris Pendleton was a bad man. I think this is his senior year. Capped off his second national title. Just going through this bracket was pretty awesome. He had a fall he had a fall. He had a tech fall in the quarters and had a tech fall in the semis, and then almost majored Askren in the finals. He was super athletic, and again, I think he was like really Oklahoma State style, but then he was really good on top too. So and he just was kryptonite for Askren. Really fun to watch, really smooth, and again, he was just really, really, really good this year.
Yeah. What about Matt Brown, Earl?
He was a 3-time All-American. This was his second time in the finals. He was there in 2013 also. He ended up winning this weight class. It had a ton of these Big Ten guys that always seemed to kind of beat up on each other, like Logan Storley and Kokesh and Mike Evans. At this tournament, I think he all had 1-point decisions in the last 3 rounds against Zack Epperly in the quarters, then Evans in the semis, and then Tyler Wilkes from Pitt in the finals. Just pretty basic, strong, all 3 positions. Nothing that stands out. I don't think one position over the other.
Yeah. And when I look at this matchup, for me, it's immediate bonus points. I don't know if I'm crazy saying that, but while Matt Brown was very good during that time, I just feel like he kind of there was a weight where there wasn't really anybody that was favored to be the champ, and he just happened to be the guy that kind of stepped up and got it done. Whereas Chris Pendleton was the dude, right? And especially those last 2 years, rolling through everybody, and both years in the finals, he almost majored Askren. So, I mean, yeah, almost majoring a 2-time Hodge Trophy winner in the finals 2 years in a row, going 7-1 against him. Obviously, he has other really big wins, but I just think, in my opinion, everything leans towards Pendleton for a good bit of points in this match. So I'm going to go Pendleton by major decision. What about you, Seth?
Yeah, I'm on board with that for sure. I was even thinking possible tech fall. I think that Matt Brown was really basic, and I just think Pendleton had so many ways to score. He's good on the mat. I think you would have picked Matt Brown apart.
For sure. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely think Pendleton gets a major here, something like 14-4, something along those lines. I just think, again, Chris Pendleton was too versed, had too many weapons, and I think Matt Brown, he would have picked apart Matt Brown's, good stance and good positioning, probably into the second and third, really start piling on points.
Yeah, Earl.
I'm agreeing with these guys, and I'll go with a major.
Awesome. Major decision for Chris Pendleton. Man, this is starting. Well, I guess 2005 is starting to pull away a little bit, but looking at these last couple of matchups, man, 2005 has got a really stacked back end. And we'll jump down to 184 pounds. Greg Jones of West Virginia versus Gabe Dean of Cornell. This is the one that we got Daniel Cormier commenting on, and I can't remember exactly how he phrased it. But basically, like, all respect to Gabe Dean, he was great, but Greg Jones this would be a smackdown. Greg Jones, and I thought that was kind of cool that he jumped in and felt so one way about it. But
I was going to jump in and say it was funny because Gabe Dean was winning the vote by a decent margin, and then as soon as he tweeted that, it just went straight the other way. And I think that Greg Jones is destroying him in the poll now. But yeah, I guess Cormier has that influence on his fans to get him voting on it.
Yeah, I mean, well, for sure. When I set up the vote and I go to do some work around the house, and there's like 20, 30 votes on it or something. DC comments, and then I come back and it's like 600 votes. Like, all right. Yeah,
it's over like 1,300 now or something. So
it's crazy. Yeah, 1,300 exactly. Wow. But yeah, I mean, let's dive into it. So, Gabe Dean, you got to be a bad man when your nickname is the Destroyer of Worlds. 3-time NCAA finalist, 4-time All-American. He got third as a freshman. So 3, 1-1, and then 2 losing to Bo Nickel in the finals his senior year. Earl, what year was this for Gabe Dean?
This was his sophomore year because Ed Ruth graduated in 2014, and he had that famous win over Ruth, and then ended up losing to him in the NCAA semis because Jimmy Sheptock was your 1 seed, and those two were on the bottom half of the bracket.
Man, wasn't there some kind of a rear standing position in that match where it, like, I remember Ruth won, and I think it was 3-1 or something along those lines, and I think there was maybe a takedown that either didn't get called or may have been called that was kind of odd, or maybe I'm just crazy. I don't know. You remember anything like that? No.
I do not.
All right, I'm crazy. I'll move on.
And you know what? I have the bracket up. I'm looking. I was thinking of the wrong year. Oh no, never mind. We're good.
You good?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Gabe Dean, Destroyer of Worlds, 184, or on the other side of the 184-pound matchup, Greg Jones. What can you tell us about Greg, Joe?
So this was Greg's senior year, his 3rd national championship. I want to say it was his sophomore year, and he was at 74 that he got upset. I don't know. Earl might know that a little bit better than me, but I think that was the only year he didn't win it and didn't make it to the finals. So Greg was super explosive on his feet. It's funny, man. I think he could have literally beaten everybody 7-4, 6-3 if he wanted to. Like, again, even though those might look like close matches, like, his opponents were never in the match. So he beats Tyler Bear in the finals 5-3 and wound up beating Brian Glenn. I think he was from Illinois, Brian Glenn in the semis 5-2, and then picked up a couple of majors in the tech fall throughout the tournament. So this was his senior year, and I mean, man, I don't see anybody going toe to toe with Greg Jones his senior year.
Yeah. And we had one guy comment on the Facebook post. I think last matchup we had Greg Jones versus Ed Ruth. And I still never got to figure out who the other guy was. So if you're listening and you made this comment, then let me know. But he said Greg Jones was one of only 2 dudes he would ever pick over Ed Ruth. And so I thought it was kind of interesting. And it's definitely cool to hear so much about Greg Jones. Honestly, I didn't really dive into my crazy fandom of wrestling until around 2010. So Greg Jones, before, take me 2 months back, it's not really a name I heard. And so it's really cool to hear these big names and just be up watching YouTube videos all night about these guys. But
who did Gabe Dean wrestle this year in the finals?
Nate Brown.
Yeah.
Yep. Vic Avery in the semis. That went into tiebreakers. Tiebreaker 2, and then Nate Brown in the finals 6-2. So man. I mean, it's got to be Greg Jones, right? It's just a matter of if we're getting into bonus territory for me. And it's hard to say that against a dude like Gabe Dean. It really is. I don't know, man. Greg Jones is on a different level on his feet is my only thing. Just different level, tall, lanky, fast. I can really see him getting a couple of takedowns on Gabe. It's just a matter of how many. So what are you guys thinking? Earl, what do you see out of this matchup?
Hammer. Greg Jones is a hammer. So kind of like Joe said, he didn't always, blow away the competition. When he's at an NCAA quarter or something like that, he'd have these decisive 5-2 wins. So I definitely wouldn't say major. And then as we were talking MMA, he has kind of a funny link where the year he didn't win, he was the 1 seed at 174. He went 2-2 in the tournament, and Rashad Evans was the guy that eliminated him when he's wrestling for Michigan State. But all that being said, Give me Greg Jones.
The hammer. All right. Joe, what do you think?
So I've definitely seen both of these guys wrestle a lot. Gabe Dean, really good underhook, awesome hand fighter, could, go for days. Where Greg Jones was definitely longer, kept guys at bay with his reach. It seems like I'm talking about a boxing match, but it like guys couldn't get their hands on Greg Jones. And I think that would be the only way that Gabe Dean could beat Greg is if he really got his hands on him and tried to slow him down and ham fight him. But I don't see that happening. And I honestly, with Greg, I think he wasn't really motivated to, put up as many points as he could. It was just like, hey, he's going to control the match. He's going to take his takedowns when they pop up. And I think I definitely see, Greg Jones popping off 2 or 3 takedowns and Gabe Dean never really coming close to, getting his hands on him or even, getting to a leg. So I'm going to go ahead and say Greg Jones wins like 7-3, 7-4, something like that.
I'm trying to go through and think about some guys that Dean hit that maybe would have been similar. I mean, it's hard for me because, like I said, I only have as much research as I can find on the internet. Would Bo Nickel be an okay comparison? Kind of, that long, lanky, fast, like really good on his feet. I don't know. Like, is that an okay comparison or no?
Not really. I think Greg Jones was a lot more explosive than Bo Nickel. Like, again, Bo Nickel was really good up top, and I think he had explosive moves, where he can throw anybody on their head, and he was really kind of funky. He had a really funky style. I definitely say their confidence levels were probably very similar, but I don't know about their wrestling styles. I think Greg Jones was way more explosive, kind of run right through you type of wrestler, where Bo was. I don't think Bo was like that.
Yeah. No, I was just going back and trying to see like the best guys he wrestled, and if I could figure one out that's similar, but not really. So, I'm gonna go Greg Jones, and man, I'm gonna vote Major. 8-point win, right, sneaking in, maybe a takedown in the last 30 seconds to secure a major. Anybody else got one, or are we sticking with decision?
I got decision.
All right. Same for you, Earl?
I got decision too.
Joe. Cool. Awesome. So we got decision for Greg Jones, and that's going to put it at 16-9 heading into the 197-pound match, where we're going to see Jake Rochelle versus Kyvan Gadson, a fun one to follow on Twitter if you have not already. But let's get into this one. So, Earl, tell us about Kyvan.
Yeah, so Kyvan Gadson is a 3-time All-American. This is his senior year, 3-time Big 12 champ. In the quarters, he majored Nathan Burak from Iowa. He beats Connor Hartman from Duke 4-1 in the semis. And then I'm sure we all remember the pin of Kyle Snyder in the finals.
Yeah, for sure. And then on the other end, Jake Rochelle. Joe, fill us in on him.
So I believe this is Jake's junior year and his second national championship. In the quarters, he beat Phil Davis 9-4. Then he beat BJ Patton, who was a couple-time All-American from Nebraska, 10-9. I think he always went back and forth with BJ. And then John Trent's got upset in the other semi by Sean Stender. Sean Stender was from Northern Iowa, and then Jake won that 5-4. So just to talk about this matchup, Jake Rochelle, I mean, that guy, even going into his senior year, nobody was picking him to win. It's almost like he was kind of like the most overlooked 3-timer. But whenever he stepped on the mat, man, he was cool and he won those close matches. Even though Kyvan was really, really good this year, and it's hard to pick against Jake Rochelle in the national tournament where he was so good. So I don't know which way I'm going yet, but I'd like to hear what you guys got to say.
Dude, it's wild to hear you say that Rochelle comes into his senior year as a 2-time champ and people are still kind of not sold on him. Like, how is that a thing?
Kind of like Dean Heil. I don't think people thought he was going to win, and he kept doing it a couple times.
That's true.
Yep, exactly.
All right. Well, Earl, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, when we had the 2006 versus 2007 or 15 matchup, I picked Kyvan Gadson just because of him being on a kind of a high for this tournament. So I'd say Jake was probably pretty similar between those 2 years. So I'm going to stick with Kyvan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm jumping in on. I'm with Kyvan on this one too. He was just on fire that year. I don't know how the match would look quite, but I'm gonna go with Gadson.
I guess people don't realize too. I'm looking back at Kyvan Gadson's wrestle stat. Obviously, people remember the pin over Kyle Snyder in the finals, right? But they actually met at CKLV earlier that year, and Kyvan won 3-2. So, I didn't know that myself. So he had 2 wins over Kyle that year. That being said, I'm still going Rochelle. Dude, 3-time national champion. People keep betting against you.
2-time at the time.
Whatever. All right. 2-time at the time. Fine. That's still, I don't know if you can count as well as me, Seth, but that's one more than Kyvan Gadson has at the time. And so, yeah, people keep counting him out, man. I'm going to give him the nod and I'm going to go with Jake.
So I'm gonna agree with you, Jacob, and I'm gonna go with Jake too. I mean, I've watched that dude. Like, again, everybody goes into every single one of his matches thinking he's gonna lose or, he's not as good, and he always comes out on top. I mean, again, I never saw him lose at the NCAA tournament, so I've got to go with Jake on this one. But it's gonna be close. It's gonna be really close. But I just think Jake is too good at the national tournament.
All right, Seth's smiling. So what's the deal? It's got to be Gadson, doesn't it? 52%?
52 to 48%.
Trash. Absolute trash. Whatever. If Jake had been commenting on that Twitter poll, then maybe it went the other way.
I lost sound. I don't know if.
Oh, no.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah. Oh, man.
I'm not able to hear anybody.
All right. Well, let's keep talking. And he'll get back to us hopefully in a second. But 52% for Kyvan Gadson. That's going to give him the win over Jake Rochelle in the 197-pound match. Joe, can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Cool. So Kyvan gets the win, and we're going to be at 17-12 now. And I just got an update on Twitter, and I would like everybody to know that I was correct on something and you weren't. So Luke Wise is, I guess, listening in live, and he said, Jacob, you were right about the controversial takedown with Gabe Dean, Ed Ruth in the semifinals. Here's the video. Check it out. 56-second mark. So, yeah, like I said, there we go. I'm officially better than all of you, just so you know. It happened. But, yeah, I'll have to go back and watch it later because I don't remember exactly how it happened. But, it something cool to talk about. And
did you see the results of my Twitter poll with Troy Letters?
No, I don't want to talk about that one because that was some crap. But here, we'll ask Joe. So what exactly was the Twitter poll again?
Troy Letters versus Tyler Caldwell.
Yeah. And Troy Letters won, I guess, significantly.
Yeah, about maybe 75% of the vote.
Yeah, I mean, but that wasn't the matchup, right? So
you brought it to that matchup.
I didn't bring it to that matchup. That was Jack. That was all Jack. It was David Taylor, Troy Letters in one duel, and I said that David Taylor would get the major, and everybody else crapped on me, and then they ended up putting this Twitter poll out here because that's all they had. And, yeah, trying to make me look bad.
Yeah,
Succeeded.
I don't see DT getting a major over Troy. Troy was really, really good and really hard to score on. And Troy was also like dynamite on top. So I don't see David Taylor majoring Troy Letters.
Well, I think the big letdown for me was, Jude Swisher on here. He trains at DT's M2 place, and he asked David Taylor about the matchup and what he saw, and he's like, DT said there's no way he would major Troy Letters. It's like, cool, awesome. So
I think actually Troy was a coach when David Taylor was an athlete there. I want to say Troy was the volunteer coach when David was either a freshman or sophomore.
Yeah. Man. All right. Well, we'll head down to 285 pounds, the last matchup of the duel, and Nick Wistowski needs a pin to win this match for 2015. But Steve Mocco of Oklahoma State at this time versus Nick Wistowski of NC State. Earl, can you go ahead and break it down for Nick Wistowski? And also, I gotta run upstairs and check on something real quick. I'll be right back. But if you guys could take to break these two guys down and maybe start giving your votes, that'd be awesome.
All right. So Nick Wistowski, two-time national champion, 4-time All-American. This year he beats Jimmy Lawson in the quarterfinals 11-3. Connor Medbury in the semis 6-3, and then he beats Adam Kuhn for the title 7-6, which was really a good heavyweight match, kind of overshadowed by the next year when he lost to Snyder in the finals, which was an all-time classic for heavyweights. But that was a pretty good match too. Him beating Kuhn. I believe Wistowski was undefeated this year as well.
So I have Steve Mocco. This was his first national tournament for Oklahoma State after he transferred from Iowa. He actually had a 4-0 win over my roommate in college, Pat DeGain, in the semis, and then 3-1 overtime victory over Cole Conrad. The iconic foot sweep that he got in overtime was pretty sweet. So this was his junior year, his second title, and his third finals appearance.
Were you around him at all in Jersey growing up?
Yeah, so me and Steve were the same age, and he I wasn't around him too much just because I didn't wrestle on the like a Fargo scene, so I didn't really see him too much. But I saw him at because he went to St. Benedict's first, I think his first 2 years in high school. Then he transferred to Blair. So I did see him when he was at St. Benedict's, but didn't see him a lot when he was at Blair. And yeah, man, he was a really bad dude. I mean, I think you guys have talked about it. There's no way I'm picking against Steve Mocco. I haven't seen that guy lose to anybody, but maybe we'll have Seth weigh in first.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think that because didn't we pick Conrad over Quiz over Conrad?
I think so.
Yeah, I regret that one. I thought after looking into it more, I saw that, I don't know. I think I changed my mind on that one, and I don't know. I think I'm gonna go Mocco now after kind of looking at things more, and I just think that he was just so mean and freaking in your face, and I don't think that. I mean, the one guy I'd say that's similar was Quiz and Kuhn, but I think that Mocco's a little bit better than Kuhn was, and yeah, I'm gonna have Mocco squeaking one out against Quiz.
Man, I don't know which way to go here. So do we just got Seth's vote on this one so far?
Yeah.
Mocco. I'll make it interesting. I'm gonna go Nick Wistowski. I'm going both ways on this one. It's a really hard choice for me to pick because I just think that Nick was that first kind of, he broke through for those really athletic, kind of different style heavyweights. And I would really like to see this matchup. And who knows, maybe Mocco smashes. I don't know. But I think that it's just a different style. It's a new age for heavyweights, and I'd really like to see the matchup go down. And I'm going to lean with the guy. It's a little bit of a innovator. I'm going to go Nick Listowski. Earl.
And so this year was also Mach was the Hodge winner. I think he had 18 or 19 pins with 17 or 18 of them coming in the first period. Now I don't see him pinning Gwiz, but it's hard for me to pick against Mako here, so I'm going with him.
All right, Joe.
Yeah, so I think Steve only had losses to Tommy Rollins and then Cole Conrad. He went back and forth with Cole Conrad. Cole was like actually, the heavyweight who used to cut weight. Like I remember it was actually me and Cole Conrad at one point cutting weight, right after our semifinals victories. It was kind of wild. I'm like seeing him, put on sweats and he's running around the arena with me. So I know he had problems with those bigger guys, but Nick is basically the same size as Mako, probably even a little bit smaller weight-wise. And man, I used to see Steve just kind of own those guys, even those quicker guys. Like even if you got to Steve's leg, man, he would drop the hammer on you. So again, I'm not picking against Steve Mako. I definitely think especially if this is his Hodge Trophy year, I don't see him losing this match. And I might be biased, obviously.
Nah, that's the point, man. That's why we want you on here. Yeah, we all got our biases, but cool. So that wraps up the duel, man. 20-12, 2005 moves on to the semifinals, taking out the 2015 team. I'm jacked. I'm excited that one of these older teams is really making its way through, because I think, like I've said before, a good majority of the people that listen to HMA are younger wrestlers. And so it's really good for them to be able to see some of these guys and, not just know who Imar and Gabe Dean are, but they can look back and hear Greg Jones and go watch Greg Jones videos on YouTube. And if they haven't, I definitely suggest that, because the dude's a lot of fun to watch. But yeah, that breaks down this duel. And I actually have a question. So Joe was talking about, cutting weight before the finals match. Seth, do you have any stories like that? Did you have any weight management you had to do when you were, in the NCAA tournament?
NCAA tournament time, I was actually usually, it was early in the season. I would maybe struggle a little bit by NCAA tournament. I was usually pretty much underweight or probably 2-3 pounds over after the day, and didn't really struggle come that time. Then you got an extra pound each day and it got a little easier. But, I'd say earlier, I think Midlands is always a tricky one, coming right off of that Christmas, going home with the family, getting some good food there. And I think that's probably the tough one for making weight during the year for for me and a lot of my teammates.
Well, I know I've been to the tournament, I think 9 years in a row now, and I don't think I've ever seen an athlete like out running or working out or anything like that. Like, does that happen, down in the depths of the basement or what?
Yeah, you don't see where all the dirt goes down and where all the guys are sweating and stuff. They have specific rooms with like bikes and aerodynes, and there'll be a couple pieces of mat. But I will say, Seth, that 2005 year, there was no weight allowance.
Really?
So I had to make scratch every day for 3 days. So
that would make it a lot tougher.
And for me personally, even though like I had my weight wasn't an issue, but I had my routines just like everybody. It's like right after my semifinals match, I'd go back, put my stuff on, and I'd be working out for 45 minutes. Not very hard, just continuing to keep that sweat going, just so I can go back to my room, eat a little something before I went to bed. And then wake up in the morning and usually be good to go.
Yeah. But I think it's cool to hear those stories. Yeah, that was my next question. I was going to ask you if you had a weight allowance. So that clears it up for me pretty easily.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
one thing I was just looking at. No, it's going to be fun. I think if 2018 squeaks out the win, Pendleton versus Zahid.
ooh,
Those two will get arguing on Twitter real quick against each other.
that'd be good. That'd be a good one to see happen for sure. But yeah, I was gonna say, but before you jump off, Joe, I love what you guys are doing over there at Princeton, man. I'm a big fan. Been watching. It's really cool, really cool, really fun to watch the Princeton duels and everything getting bigger. I'm actually a high school teacher. I just switched schools down here, and I moved to Carborough High School, which is where Quincy Monday is from.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I see his picture on the wall that every day walking through the school, and I think it's cool. It gets me jacked up for the day. Yeah, Coach DeWitt is still here that coached him, and he raves about how awesome he is, and I've become a big fan. I know I can't remember which tournament it was, man, but there was one tournament going on. It was kind of in the middle of the day on like a Thursday or Friday, and I had a break for a couple of minutes, and Coach DeWitt was subbing up there, and we like hid in a back room somewhere and watched Quincy wrestle. So
when he was in college, or when he was in college, correct?
This year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can't remember which match. I can't remember what tournament it was, man. It's killing me. But
maybe Midlands. Oh no, you guys were probably not in school then.
I don't know, but huge fan of what you guys are doing up there, man. We really appreciate you coming on and talking crap with us and just supporting us and our crazy endeavors, man. So
this was really fun. So I really appreciate you guys having me on. Always fun to talk about the glory days back when I wrestled. So to kind of get some different perspectives on all these national champs. I mean, it's awesome. It doesn't matter where your opinion lies. It's just really cool about talking about wrestling and talking about the different styles. I mean, honestly, it was like 2005, totally different styles than like this past year. So really cool for me, and obviously I appreciate what that you guys are taking notice of Princeton. We're doing some amazing things there, and to have guys like Quincy Monday, who's high character and doing well on the mat, doing well in the classroom. Same thing with Pat Glory, Pat Brucky, and the majority of other guys. I mean, it's awesome to see where we've come as a program. I honestly feel like this should be the next Flow film. I mean, it's the biggest turnaround in college wrestling and even college sports. So again, guys, I really appreciate you having me on. This was really fun.
Absolutely. Thanks, Earl. Thanks, Seth. As always, this is Jacob Pughley signing off from the HMA Fantasy team. We thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.